Sir, good morning. How are you?
Doing good, madam. Fine.
Okay, sir.
Hope you people are good too.
Yes, sir. Shall we start the session, sir?
Yes.
Very good morning, all. I'm Dr. D. Kartika, moderator for today's session. I welcome you all back to the day 6 of 1-week virtual faculty development program on efficient dimensions of high quality research. A dream for a student truly begins when a teacher believes in him. Today's resource person not only helps the student dream, but also he helps in synthesizing their dream into reality by teaching beyond the classroom. Dr. D. Jude Hemanth received his BA degree in ECE from Bardia University in 2002, ME degree in Communication Systems from Anna University in 2006, and PhD from Karunya University in 2013. His research areas include computational intelligence and image processing. He has authored more than 180 research papers in reputed SCIE indexed international journals and Scopus indexed international conferences. His cumulative impact factor is more than 270. He published 37 edited books with reputed publishers such as Elsevier, Springler, and IET. He has been serving as associate editor and scientific editor of SCIE indexed international journals such as IEEE Journal of Biomedical and Health Informatics, Soft Computing Springler, IET Image Processing, Mathematical Problems in Engineering, Piaget Computer Science, and Dina, Spain. He also holds the associate editor, guest editor position in many Scopus journals. He has been serving as the editor of Biomedical Engineering Series, editorial board member of SCI Series Springer and Robotics and Healthcare Series. He has received a project grant with 35,000 UK pound for Government of UK with the collaborators from University of Westminster, UK. He has also completed 2 funded research projects from CSIR, Government of India, and DST, Government of India. He also serves as the research scientist of Computational Intelligence and Information Systems Lab, Argentina, LAPISO Research Lab, Brazil, RIDI Lab, Tunisia, Research Center for Applied Intelligence, University of Craiova, Romania, and Health and Telemedicine Group, University of Valladolid, Spain. He has been also the organizing committee member of several international conferences across the globe, such as Portugal, Romania, UK, Egypt, China, etc. He has delivered more than 150 keynote talks, invited lectures in international conferences, workshops. He holds a professional membership in IEEE Technical Committee on Neural Network and IEEE Technical Committee on Soft Computing and ACM. He is the NVIDIA University Ambassador and NVIDIA Certified Instructor for Deep Learning courses. His name is listed in the top 2% leading world scientist 2021 list released by Stanford University, USA. Currently, he is working as professor in the Department of ECE, Karunya University, Coimbatore, India. He also holds the position of visiting professor in the Faculty of Engineering and Information Technology, University of Oradea, Romania. Sir, we request you to enlighten the participants through your session of on nuts and bolts of efficient research, scientific research manuscript. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Kartika, for your introduction. And thank you for inviting me to share my expertise today with all the participants. Is my voice audible?
So you're audible.
Yes. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So today for the next 1.5 hours, I am going to give you all my experiences, right? So it is not about, I have taken some other information like our technical contents and sharing with you. But these are my experiences which gave me a good research output in the form of publications. So I feel if you can follow these principles and procedures, definitely you can also get through some of the good SCIE journals. It's a common talk between all the academicians that their paper is rejected or they say it's out of scope. And there may be plenty of questions or queries in your mind, why me or why my paper is rejected, right? So today, in the next 1.5 hours, I'm sure that I will be giving you the best principles and the policies by which you can avoid those talks. There will not be any necessity for those talks if you can follow all these things. And again, I'm not sure how many students are there, but I assume that most of you may be faculty members who are doing a PhD or just now completed or maybe in different stages. Right? So whatever may be the group, this is going to be beneficial for you. Always have one PowerPoint slide like this with you every time. That will tell you how you proceed in your research career. It is not that you attend workshop and seminars, gain knowledge and putting something into work. How you move every day is very, very crucial. And again, it is not that because your university asks you to go for publications or your peer pressure makes you to do some publication. It's not like that, right? How you move, you don't have any competition with your peer group. It's the competition within or between you today and you yesterday. Only when you have the right mental attitude, you can move forward in your research career. So how can you check that? You can have one PowerPoint slide like this, maybe weekly or monthly or maybe quarterly. You can check and find out how you are proceeding in your career. The numbers will talk, the bullet points, the qualitative and the quantitative aspects will give you the information about you. You check that, and based on that, you can move forward. Suppose if there are no additions in the numbers or the bullet points, it clearly indicates that you are not moving forward, which is not the correct scenario, right? To start with, maybe your PowerPoint will have only less information, but gradually, definitely you can build on, provided you have the right mental attitude to move forward in the research dimension. So I'm going to support you, help you in all these ways. All the contents of this presentation are my own experiences. As I told you earlier, no contents are taken from internet or any other sources. Most of the time, I will advise you, do not go for those stuffs, because I went for those stuffs and finally I was in deep trouble. I was unable to move. So most of the time, I will advise you what you should not do, right, rather than what you should do. Target audience, two groups of people may be sitting on the other side. So group one, I am categorizing them as before research, people who wants to know what research is to be done, right? When you start your PhD work, immediately you cannot go for publication. That is the second step. The first step is your technical work, what you do. Suppose if you are not decided, if you have not decided on what you should do, maybe then you can place yourself under group one category. Group two, after research. When I say after research, it doesn't mean that your research is completed. It's not like that. You have some experimental works. You have crossed at least 50 to 60%, or maybe even 100% of your PhD. So don't get confused with your PhD and your research. PhD is time bound. Research is endless, right? So when I say that you are in the beginning or you are in the middle, I'm talking about your PhD part. So people who wants to know how to document their research work. So group two has some experimental results with them, and now they want to document it or make it known to the outside world for their recognition. So this session is ideally for group two people. Right? If you have some experimental results or simulation or field study or whatever it may be, then maybe you are in a better position to attend this session. Suppose if you are brand new, some students or someone who have not yet initiated their PhD, then definitely you will get some more idea on how you have to proceed later. So this is the agenda. I have divided into many modules. First, I will write a small, or I will give you a small part on how to initiate research. Because as I told you, publications come in the second part. If the first part goes wrong, then it is very difficult to get the second part right. So you must know before going into publication what work I am doing, how am I doing. If that is the case, then it will be more better and easier for you to proceed further. So module 1, maybe for a bit information I will give you, and the focal point of our session will be on module 2, how you have to write the different sections of the research papers. Then you will have the module 3, module 4, module 5, or module 6. These are additional information for you. Maybe if you are well versed with the art of writing papers, then you must know there are other some policies or procedures. Just because you have a good paper, you cannot say that your paper will be accepted. There are some tricks, there are some procedures which you have to follow to go through the right path to get things done. And finally, I will tell you how to become a successful researcher. These will be general. These will not be pertain to any specific background of your education. All the people can make use of this, and you can start doing research or write the papers. So let me go into the first one, module 1. What is research? A bit of information is always necessary. So one thing you have to keep in your mind that research is actually research. That means already someone would have done some work on that, or somebody is doing work parallelly with you. Keep in your mind, you are not the only person to do the work, right? Searching for something. Again, we do not know. We may think that I am the one who is doing work on this application, but somewhere in some corner of the world, somebody else may be using that too. So how you are going to show the difference between you and your fellow researcher who is doing the work is very, very crucial in getting your paper accepted. For that, you have to answer these 3 questions. When you choose an application or when you choose a project or a research work, try to answer these 3 things. Once you are able to answer these 3 questions, then definitely it will be easier for you to proceed either in the work or in the publication. Why do you search? What do you search? How do you search? So the first question is, why do you search again? To find solutions for some unending or mystery problems. There are many problems that human beings are facing. See, your research should be finally translated into some useful applications in the real-time scenario. So what are those problems, right? That you have to find out, and you need to find out problems for which there is no solution yet. There are plenty of problems available like that. Now, the next question is, are you the only person trying to find the solution? No, definitely not. Then why? To find out better solutions for these problems. Underline the word better. Right? That's what I told you. Many people are doing work. How you are going to show the difference? In your research paper, something different is always expected. As an editor, I can say when I receive your paper, I will initially have a screening on your paper for the contents, specifically the word novelty. If there are no novelty, then there is a high chance that your paper will be rejected. So try to make sure that how different you are going to be in comparison to other people. What do you search? New techniques. How can you be different with other people? Right? Only if you do something new, you can say that I am going to be different from another person. Otherwise, if you do the thing again, same thing again and again, it may not be beneficial for you. But how do you select that new thing or novelty or that innovation? How can you do that? Nothing can be done on the problem. Don't go and try and do some changes on your problem. The problem exists by nature. The diseases, the natural calamities, or any changes in whatever scenario, they are nature. We cannot disturb the nature. But what we can do is we can develop some methodologies based on our educational background and try to solve the problem. So always remember your research work, you can think in your mind, will have a methodology part and an application part. Don't try to keep your hands on the application. Try to keep your hands on the methodology part. Try to do something novel or innovative and then go and apply for your application. This is the way how you can show a difference. You can find out not necessary to be engineering. I understand most of you may be from different education background. It is common for everyone. So how do you search? How do you bring that novelty? How do you bring that new technique? How can you show the difference? It can be done in two ways. So first one is application of existing technique for the first time on the specified problem. Say for example, COVID-19, it is a recent disease. So if you are taking any one existing technique, say for example, any machine learning or artificial intelligence, say for example, if you take them and if you go and apply for the first time, definitely that can be called as novel. When COVID-19 affected us, maybe in the early part of 2019, you can see plenty of research papers following this principle and getting through all SCIE journals, top class journals, right? In the later part of 2019, that trend slowly dropped down because once somebody have already done that, the next time when a paper comes, the editor will look for some difference, right? 2020, you need to do more because already many have published in COVID-19. So this is one methodology. So when you choose a rare application, then definitely you have a chance. This I'm going to call it as case one research because we are going to have this definition throughout our presentation. Case two, finding a completely new technique or methodology. For case two, application is not that important. That need not be very new. You can take any existing application and then you are trying to have more emphasis on your methodology part. If you are very strong in your technical expertise, then case two is possible. So depending upon whether you are in case one or case two, you can proceed with your publication. Case one is relatively easy since the methodology is already existing. Some algorithms, say for example, neural networks, it is there. Some codings, GitHub, Kaggle, many sources are there. You take them and you can proceed and try to get your application done. Everybody will congratulate you and your publication will be done right. But it is relatively easy. Actually, when you dig deep, there will not be much contribution from your side. The only work here is to find out whether it is used for the first time. But I will tell you, you need not waste your time and search. Check if your application is something very recent, 2021 or 2022 maybe, then you can straight away go for this case. Case two is highly challenging since it is a complete innovation. Innovative thinking or thinking differently is highly essential. If somebody is moving in the forward direction, check what happens if we come back in the reverse direction. Or if somebody is showing you a house from the top view, just try to check what happens from the side view. These are some aspects in which you can try to put your hand. Try to find out a drawback in the existing methodology and then make some changes here and there, and then you can get a completely new output. That doesn't mean it should fall from heaven. A modified approach also will do to get through a SCIE publication. But the complexity is that your innovation must be proved. Whatever you do modification or you do any changes or some different steps, it must be proved logically, mathematically, experimentally in your research paper. You cannot just say something and then get your work done. The proof is very, very important. What do you mean by logical proof? A theoretical proof, right? You cannot do some experiments and say the color of the milk is black. Will you accept? Nobody will accept, right? That may be innovative statement, something different, but logically it is not going to be correct. You cannot argue that as a cow with or a buffalo with a black color skin is going to give you a black color milk. Logically, it is wrong. It is very easy for the editors to find out whether your experimental results are logically correct or not. Second one is mathematically. You should have some mathematical expressions in your research paper. That's why it is called as scientific paper. If you are from English background, then the concept is completely different. These are not applicable, right? But if you are from any other background, try to incorporate some mathematical equations validating your statement. The color of the milk is black in color. If it is convincing, then you can get through. And you need to show with the experiments also. In any case, the solution must be better than the related works by other researchers. So you have to always keep in mind why, what, and how. And don't forget about case 1 and case 2. Both are considered as novel research. But good journals, a better journal will expect case 2. And maybe a mediocre journal may go with case 1 too. But whatever hints or points I'm going to give is for the best journal in your education. Ingredients of research, I will not go deep into this, right? You know everything. And this is very, very important. Patience, right? When you talk about research publications, it will take more time. You need to be patient because as an editor, I am also an academician. I have 2 theories, 2 labs. I have accreditation works, other research collaboration works. So the time I'm going to spend checking your paper is not anything which is going to be beneficial in terms of monetary or anything. It's a voluntary job. So I go there only for a specified time. And if your editor is a bit old, if he is crossed 40, 50 or 60, then it will definitely take more time. My first paper, I waited for 10 months. A pregnant lady would have given birth to a child, 10 months. And after 10 months, one fine morning, I received a mail that my paper was rejected. Right? What should do? You need to start from the scratch again. So patience is the key, right? Don't miss your patience. It is very, very important from the publication scenario. Steps in doing research, and I hope you must have done all that. And the last one is giving out the research output in the form of documents. Right? It is not that straight away you register for PhD, tomorrow write a paper. There are some supervisors who ask their scholars to write a paper immediately. Then they will argue that it's a survey paper. Even for a survey paper, you need to do some groundwork. Right? Only then, as a last step, you need to come and give the. So 1 to 8, and these are like steps in a ladder. Don't try to keep your leg from step number 1 then directly to step number 5. You will fall. Right? So go from 1, 2, 3, 4. You will understand when you write a paper how crucial all these steps are. They are interrelated. Right? All padi, adai padi. We say 50% your work and 50% how you document it. Without any work, you cannot have your paper done. It's not that easy. Even with the good work, you are not going to get your paper done. That's why I am here to try to make you a better person in terms of research paper. Right? So we are going to concentrate on how you are going to give the research output. Now let us come to our module 2. Now I assume that you have some experiments or simulations or whatever it may be, right? You have some work and you have to document it. Let us see. So when you call it as publications, it is a standard format, right? The journals or the publishers will have a standard template in which you have to submit, and they will have a review on your work. And finally, if it is accepted, then your work is recognized. This is the criteria of why we go for publications. And must be your work and not copied from other works. Right? This is a major mistake which normally person will do. Because of the peer pressure or maybe because of the lack of interest, we tend to copy from other works, which is completely unethical and it is dangerous too. Research papers will be evaluated by many experts and they will give you the result based on the contents of your research paper. And hence your research paper must be highly impressive. And I am here to help you write a highly impressive paper to enhance the chances of publication. Right? Plagiarism, reviewers, all these steps you need to cross to make sure you proceed to the final stage. And parts of the research paper. These are the different side headings you should have in your research paper. I always advise my student, the research scholars, right? Open the laptop, right? Type all these side headings on a single day, close the laptop and go for another work. Come next day, write 5 lines under each section. And when you count all these 5 lines at the end of 2 months or 3 months, you will have a very good research paper, provided your first part is ticked. You cannot write a paper on a day. If you try to do that, definitely you will mess up with all these things. Now we are going to see how to write each and every part of a research paper. First one is title. Title must be informative. What do you mean by that? I will give you an example. 2 persons are walking in a desert. One person is walking and saying that maybe daytime you can have, and saying the climate is 50 degrees Celsius. Person A. Person B says the climate is hot. Who is better? Both are correct, but the person who is giving the 50 degrees Celsius answer is much more better. Why? You are able to grasp much more information. So in the same way, when you write a title, try to pinpoint the specific content or specific contribution of your work in the title. Don't have a title like medical image analysis using soft computing techniques. Medical image analysis is a common problem. Soft computing techniques is a general methodology. Never ever do that. I have seen plenty of papers, even though they have some good contents in their research paper, they do not have good title. So the first thing we do is read the title. If the title is not impressive, there's a chance, right, that I may not pass your paper to the review process. So specific contribution of your paper should be reflected in the title. Shall not be too small or too lengthy. How can you decide on that? You can have 2 lines maximum in a Times New Roman MS Word format if you are not using LaTeX, and you can have a point size of 14, bold, right? And within that, you should be able to tell what you are having in your paper. 3 lines, 4 lines, or I have seen papers with even 5 words or 6 words. Absolutely wrong. Immediately we will understand that this person is not an experienced person. Maybe this is his first paper. Then the contents may not be good. I do not want his paper. Avoid abbreviations, right? Never ever use any abbreviations, because you have used, say for example, a modified neural network. Then don't say MNN, medical image analysis using MNN technique. Who knows MNN? Only you know. Right? So never ever use any abbreviations unless otherwise it is very common. ECG you can use, VLSI you can use. Such type of common abbreviations you can use, but if you get a chance, electroencephalography is always better than EEG. Try to have an expansion. If it goes beyond 3 lines, you can cut short, but make sure that it does not exceed 2 lines. If case 1 research, by the time now, you must know what is case 1 research. Avoid words like novel, new. As I told you, existing technique for the application. So if you say that novel or new, I will be impressed, definitely. Then I will go and search for novelty or new thing in the contents. If I could not find that, then there is a chance that you will face desk rejection. And again, novelty should be based on the editor's point of view, right? Editor will be 99% one of the top person in that specific field. For him, it should be a novelty. It should not be a novelty for you. If case one research, as I told you, you will have a methodology part and an application part. Now, use the part first for which your paper gives more emphasis. If you have done good things or some contribution on the methodology part, then you have to have your title as soft computing based medical image analysis. Soft computing is the methodology and medical image analysis is the application. For methodology, I am giving more importance. I have done some contribution in that. If you reverse it, then there is a chance that I will be expecting some medical contents. If it is not there, then I will say that your paper is out of scope, go and submit in some medical research journals. You will scratch your head because you would have seen some already similar published papers. This is the reason. Suppose if you are not good in your methodology and if you have done something on the application part, medical part, more medical contents, then you say medical image analysis using soft computing techniques. Right? So the part in which you are going to play the role is very, very crucial. Whenever I see, I have only 2 minutes to screen your paper. When I see, immediately the best one should come to my eyes. No grammatical mistake in the title. Right? If you are not good in English, try to get the support of people who are good in English and make sure that there are no grammatical mistake in the complete paper and the title specifically, right? Plural, singular, the tense should be very, very carefully used. And try to highlight your entire work in 2 lines. This is the way how you have to write the title. Now, can you think of your work and write a title? You cannot write a title in 1 minute or 5 minutes, right? Take time, you go write the title, try to refine that, right? For writing the title, you must know the content. That's what I told you. Immediately after registration, you cannot write a paper because you must know the content, what specific thing you have within you, right? So if you follow these steps, then a good title will be also always that. When I look at the title, I will be impressed and I will have an attitude to read at the contents of your paper. After title, if it is good, the next part is affiliation and author details. Avoid designations in the research paper. Lecturer, assistant professor, professor, director, principal, final year student. I have seen lots and lots of different stuffs like this. These will show a low quality paper. These are signs and symptoms of low quality papers. You take any IEEE transactions, you take any Elsevier or Springer or in top class journals and tell me whether any paper has these designations. It will not be. Only in the affiliation part you will have, but never ever give your designations. Your department and your university name is more than enough. And also avoid using titles like Mr., Mrs., research scholar, Mrs., doctor, professor, and all those things. Nobody is bothered about you. I am bothered about the contents because I am the editor. My journal should be circulated all around the world and it should be subscribed by some universities, top class universities. Then I make money. For this, if these are the hindrances, then definitely I am not going to take. Quality research is independent of designations and degrees. A final year student will write a good paper, not will, he can write a good paper in comparison to a professor. So never ever use these things in your papers. Specify the affiliations. You can check some papers and you can bring to me, sir, these are the things, it is there. So those journals, those papers are low quality papers. I am talking about only the best SCIE indexed journals. Specify the affiliations, department and institution clearly for each authors. Since authors may be from different parts and places, now because of our NARF ranking, NAC or NB or whatever. Maybe you may have also some different accreditation procedures. They are encouraging collaborative work because foreign or the Western countries, they are far, far superior than us. So if we have a collaboration with them, or if you have a collaboration with the people who is above you technically, and two brains work together, make it a good result. In that case, you need to specify the country and the because information is going to spread. You are not the key person when for that paper. So make sure you do not make any mistake in the affiliation. Providing an accurate email is always preferable, and nowadays most of the journals are looking for an email with institutional ID. Right? So if you do not have one, try to get an institutional email ID and go with that. These are some key points during the initial check. If they are not comfortable, you will be awarded points. Then it will come to us. Then there is a high chance that we will say some random reasons out of scope, or even though your paper is of good quality, these are some standard information, right? But don't think about the contents. Maybe somewhere you would have made mistakes on these. No need of giving the complete address like postal address, department name, university name, countries, or that. If necessary, there is a provision called as metadata. You will be asked to provide the details separately for a standard publisher. So don't mess up your affiliation and author details. If you ask me, sir, if I give whether this will impact the contents of my paper, no, it may not impact. But the impression which you are going to get from the editor and the reviewer will be reduced, which will significantly impact the acceptance of the paper, not the quality of the contents of the paper. Abstract. Now, the next section is abstract, which is very, very crucial. Once your title is impressive, or I find something different, then immediately I'll go to the abstract. Your abstract is a section which should, in a small paragraph, comprise or convey the complete information you have in your paper. I should not read the other contents. Just by reading the abstract, I should know what you are talking about. So how should we write an abstract? The abstract shall be maximum 250 words. In other words, 8 to 10 lines. Anything between 8 to 10 lines, you count later, it will come to 250, 230, 240, 260. That is fine. Don't go to 300. They may ask you to refine it. Or don't stop with 150 or 100. That is very weak. Somewhere around 250 will be always fine. For that, we are going to keep in terms of lines, 8 to 10 lines. Now I am going to tell you what should each line represent in your abstract. Why we talk about lines is the flow within each line of the abstract is highly important. Say, for example, you assume that there is a boy called as Rama. Rama is sitting in the house. He is going out of the house with an umbrella. Is this correct? Yes, this is of course correct. But the question immediately you will have in your mind is, why should he go out with an umbrella? The confusion you will have in your mind is it raining or is it hot? So some information is missing between these two lines. Rama is sitting in the house because it is raining. He is going out of the house with an umbrella. That would have been much more better than these things. That's why I ask you to write only 5 lines per day. Don't go beyond that. 5 lines, refine that, check, ask whether any information is missing between those 2 lines. Make sure there is no gap. So first line, the first line should talk about the definition of your application, right? Because ultimately research is going to be used for the human society with a specific application. So that application is very, very important. Whether you give importance to your methodology, but still you start with the definition of your application. Comment on the second line. Comment on the complexities or the problems associated with the application. Now, this is related with your part 1 research work. If you have randomly chosen some problem and selected some method and done some work, very less chance, right? You must know what is the problem of that specific methodology, or maybe in your application. Backpropagation neural network is computationally expensive. That is one problem. Then I'm trying to solve that problem. That is research. So that problem or complexity should be specified in your second line. Suppose if there is a cancerous disease, or that inability to solve that can be represented here. So it depends upon whether your problem is with application or methodology. You need to give the problem. It is also called as problem statement. In the next line, show the incapabilities. That's a single phrase. Incapabilities of the previous works in solving the problem. Right? Then the immediate question after reading the two is, okay, then you are the only person doing that. No, already many have done, but still because of the complexities of the problem, no proper solution has been taken so far. Then I will be very eager to know what you are going to do. Talk on how you are going to solve the problem. So from the lines, maybe 4 to 7, 4, 5, 6, 7, you can take 3 to 4 lines in a crisp way. You have given the detailed methodology part later, but in a crisp way, tell how you are going to solve the problem, giving the key highlights of the methodologies. Then I will understand, okay, this is the application, this is the problem with the methodology or the application, and he is saying that other people have not given the proper answer, and he is also given some solutions for that. Brief on the techniques. In that 3 to 4 lines, you can brief on the techniques you have used and how you are going to judge the performance of your approach. Performance measures that you can give. Maybe you can take 4 lines, or maybe suppose if your content is more, maybe you can take 5 lines also. Then in the last 2 lines, illustrate your expected results briefly. Right? Maybe percentage, 98% accuracy, or a speed up factor of 100, or speed up factor of 50, or a qualitative diagnosis, whatever it may be. In 1 or 2 lines, try to give your expected results. If you are giving a numerical value, that will be much more appreciable. And when you put together all these lines, you will find out you will have around 10 lines. And if you have your word check, it will show around 50. This should be the flow. Maybe if you are doing a BTech project work, or MTech work, or thesis, or whatever it may be, if your abstract is not structured in this way, definitely very, very less chance of getting through. Because if it is chaotic, if I am unable to understand what the problem you are going to solve in abstract, then definitely I am not going to read your later content. So make sure you have this content flow to write your abstract. Next comes keywords. We normally do not give much importance to the keywords. 5 to 6 words must be given after the abstract, which are called keywords. Why do we give this? These keywords are going to help you increase your citations. It is not only getting paper accepted, but after accepted, the quality check is how many researchers are going to refer your paper in their reference section. So how do we do that? Say, for example, you do some work in sentiment analysis. You go to Google and type sentiment analysis and try to find out all the research papers. How the Google is giving you the sentiment analysis, they have crawlers. And this sentiment analysis will try to have a check with all the data sets. And when you have given a keyword as sentiment analysis, it will be captured and displayed to another person. If you are not giving that, then your paper may not pop up to that person, and your paper may be missed in the reference section. So make sure you give the keywords. What are the keywords? They are the words which are often repeated throughout your paper. So a contradictory point is your title should have the specific contents. Keywords should have more general contents. If you are specific in your keywords, then the chances of your paper coming out in Google is very, very less. Getting cited by another researcher is a credit for your work. Now let us come to the third section, introduction section. Abstract 8 lines or 10 lines. Introduction section 8 paragraphs. You are going to elaborate on what you have told in your abstract in the introduction section with many paragraphs. At least 8 paragraphs you must have. Anything less than 8 paragraphs is completely not desirable for a side journal. When I say paragraph, it doesn't mean that you are write a complete full sheet. I asked my research scholar to write one paragraph and she came with 4 A4 sheets. Then I asked, what is that? She told, I have given the contents. When I say paragraph, it is maximum 12 lines in a MS Word file with Times New Roman point size 11 or 12. Anything more than 12 lines will not be good. Right? So within this 12 lines, 8 paragraphs you should frame. What are these 8 paragraphs? The background of your application must be elaborated. Right? The first paragraph will be, we have specified the definition of the application. Now the background, maybe a few statistics, maybe a country-wise or a year-wise analysis of how the application behaves, just to show the reviewer. Editor is not going to read your paragraphs. He doesn't have any time, right? The reviewer is going to check, and when he reads your paper, he must know that, okay, this application is really important in the current scenario. So for that, you need to give some statistics. Statistics is the best way to impress a reviewer. Try to give some statistics based on your application, the first paragraph. And along with that, the reason for the lack of proper solution for that application must be clearly defined. This is the second line. You have given in 2 lines or 1 line in your abstract, right? Maybe the problem statement and the lack of proper solution. Now you are going to elaborate on that, right? It has so many complexities. The computing power requirement is very high, but currently in India or in the countries, we do not have any proper systems. Right. So when you talk about the lack of proper solution, he will know the need of your research. The first paragraph, he will know the need of the application. The second paragraph, you should make the reviewer understand the need for your research. It is not what research you are doing, it is the need for research. Okay, this type of work is really important. Okay, let me go and check what he has done. The problem definition must be clearly defined in the first and second. So the first and second paragraphs should talk about the background, the lack of problem solution, and the problem statement. The first 3 lines in your abstract should come here as first 2 paragraphs. Very, very important. Don't start with the literature survey right from the first paragraph. Totally not acceptable. From the third paragraph, right? Now 2 paragraphs with 10 to 12 lines over. From the third paragraph, the various techniques used for solving this application must be given. Various techniques means not your technique. Literature survey, you are going to copy, not exactly copy. You are going to take the contents or analyze the contents of another person's work, right? So from the 3rd to the 7th paragraph, you must have that. For example, you can have one person, Stahl. Stahl has used so and so for implementation. This is the one way of giving the reference. But most of the time, Stahl is a single person. So the verb which should follow him is has, not have. People make mistakes here lots and lots of times, which is completely not acceptable. Each of these references must be numbered in ascending order within square brackets. Sometimes they will ask you the country, depending upon the Chicago style or APA style, they will ask, but make sure that your references should be always in ascending order. Don't go for any chaotic order of giving the references. If more than one author is involved, use the verb have. Try to use recent reference. These are minor issues. I have not gone into the major issues. These are minor issues which is going to determine the success of the introduction section. You must not give room for the reviewer to write a line. The introduction section is very weak. He should not write like that. Right? Try to use recent references in terms of years. 5 years is okay. So now it is 2022. Maybe you can start from 2016 or 2017. Suppose if you have one rare paper which is published in 1998, absolutely fine, you can use, but do not use most of them. 1 or 2 is okay. Never use irrelevant references in your work. Nowadays, unethical issues have popped up in almost all the publications setup, right? Just to increase my citation, I give Dr. Karthika my paper. She may be doing in some other work. I may be doing in some other. If they are matching, then it's fine. If irrelevant reference is given, never ever cite that. Try to use references from standard publications as far as possible. IEEE, Elsevier, or Springer. Why do we say this? Because the review process will be tough here. The quality of the paper is properly checked. But when you look at journals who get money and publish within 1 week, the results section would not have been checked. So if you refer that and when you do some research, you will be misled. You will go in a wrong direction. That's why we repeatedly say, go for some standard publishers. Not because they are not big shots, but because of the fact that the quality check would have been done in a rigorous way than in another check. Now, let us come to the major issues. Okay, we are going to start with the third paragraph. When I start with the third paragraph, what should I write? I should criticize others. I should not congratulate others. If I'm congratulating others, then the immediate question is, what is your role in this work? When already somebody has done in a good way, then why should you do this? So you should be a critic and you should read that paper. That is one step in your research work. Read the paper, try to find out the drawback of the paper or the negative aspects of the paper. That would not have been clear, given explicitly as a section. Nobody will give like that, right? You have to read the paper and try to find out, okay, this analysis is not done. This method is very old method. These are the things which you should give. Do not just say, Stahl use this technique. Till now, 80% of the papers doing literature survey is just a summary. I do not want a summary. I do not want to know what Stahl has used. I am interested to know what Stahl didn't do. Right? So instead, point to the drawback of his work. So each paragraph should have some reference papers, and in each paper, you should specify the negative aspects. That doesn't mean you should be very harsh with your language. You can write it in a polished way. However, but instead, these are polished words which you can make use of when you write your introduction. Other works then and there. That is fine. If you have 30 references, then 5 or 6 times doing that is okay. For this, a careful reading of Stahl's paper is required. That's why people say, study those papers, do literature survey. Why? Try to get the drawbacks of other people's work. Never ever give it in the form of a summary. So one paragraph, I told 12 lines. In 12 lines, you can accommodate 4 papers, not more than that. And about each paper, you should have 2 to 3 lines. 1 line maybe, you can say Stahl has used this technique. However, instead, in spite of, right, these are the second line which you should write to make sure or to inform the negative aspects of Stahl's work. If you want, you can have 1 more line also. So 2 to 3 lines about each work, talking about their technique and talking about their drawback. So when you come to 12 lines, 3 into 4, when you come to 12 lines, you would have given 4 papers. So third paragraph is completely with 4 papers, specifically criticizing the people's work. Try to give around 25. 15 is not a good number now. So you make use of 25 references for conferences and around 30 or 35 references for journals. Right? Don't go beyond that. If suppose you have review paper, then the number of papers you should have is minimum 150. Anything more or less makes the flavor. It may not look good. Small work will be there, but you will have 50 references, 40 references, just to make sure you get 10 pages length. Absolutely wrong. Your paper will not get accepted. So organize your entire references in terms of paragraphs. So we know that now 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 5 paragraphs. 5 paragraphs into 4 papers, 20 papers. So 20 papers you have collected, right? And you have to organize it in terms of paragraphs. What do you mean by organization? Grouping the 4 papers which are close to each other. Maybe in neural networks, the 4 papers are close. Fuzzy, another 4 papers. Don't have a paragraph where 2 neural papers are there and 2 fuzzy papers are there. Then again, that is completely wrong. That is not acceptable. So organize it. So when you read your paragraphs, okay, first neural, then fuzzy, then optimization, okay. These are the things, are the inferences which he has founded. That will be always good. Group all the techniques of one category together. Make sure a good flow is ensured between these paragraphs, right? So if neural is invented first, use neural first. If fuzzy is invented first, you can use fuzzy first. But sometimes there may be some works where ear representation may be different. That is okay. But most of the time, try to start with the old techniques and come to the new techniques. Don't come in the reverse way. That is going to be meaningless. The last paragraph. Now, 7 paragraphs you have completed. Now come to the last paragraphs. That should talk about your proposed methodology in a better way. In this work, right? In this research paper, these are the things I am going to do. Elaborate a bit about the techniques you use to solve the problem, right? So don't repeat the same thing in the abstract. In the abstract, we have talked maybe 3 lines, 4 lines. Now it is a paragraph, 12 lines or 10 lines. Elaborate on that. Give some more information in addition to what you are given in your abstract. Do not forget to mention the performance measures. Very, very important, because your method is going to be validated based on the performance measures only. So make sure that you give a correct performance measure. The next section heading should be proposed methodology. Don't start with any other headings, or you can go for materials and methods. That is a good side heading, or you can go for a side heading as proposed methodology. You should have one heading like this. And in that, you should have a block diagram or a flow chart compulsorily. If you do not have anything of that sort, you must draw on your own. When I look at this block diagram or flow chart, I must understand the way in which your methodology is going right from the input till the output. You will know this figure caption must be given below the figure with figure number. That figure number should be cited within the text. That will not affect the acceptance, but after acceptance, the publisher will keep on mailing you. The figure number is not cited in the text. Each mail they send, that will drag your publication by 1 week or 2 weeks. That will be highly irritating, right? So try to make sure that you do not make small mistakes without citing the figure number. After the diagram, right? So you have a diagram. A brief description of the proposed approach shall be given in 2 to 3 paragraphs. What is the proposed approach? Just the explanation of your diagram. Not a detailed explanation. Maybe in 2 paragraphs, you can divide into sections and tell, okay, the images are collected from this repository, or this data is taken from this website. The second step, we are doing this methodology, this all these things you can elaborate on that. But make sure the last line of the abstract, the last paragraph of the introduction section, and these 2 paragraphs may look similar, but you should give different contents for each of them. Next comes your methodology and explanation. I cannot give the technical contents. Maybe depending upon your background, you will have the technical contents, but make sure your block diagram should be represented in side headings in this part. Do not give emphasis to details which are already known. Neural networks, everybody knows, right? Their architecture, everything is known. So don't elaborate and don't write that again. This is another serious issue with the researchers or academicians. I do not want to see that. I want to know what is new in that paper, right? If you want to have that, you write one line. A detailed explanation on the architecture of neural network is given in. You add one more reference. 20 reference in introduction section. The remaining 10 or 15, you can put in your methodology part. Anywhere, that is up to you, right? But do not repeat the contents which are already there. Focus on your contribution. That's why what, why, and how plays a crucial role. Organize into different sections and subsections. Section 6, 6.1, 6.1.1. You should stop with it. Don't go to 6.1.1.1 or 6.1.1.1.1. Absolutely, it will look messy. Right? Maximum 3 subsections. That is fine. So you need to arrange. Organize means put all the contents which are homogeneous in one paragraph, heterogeneous in another. So that is the way how you need to organize your sections. Maybe architecture, training algorithm, implementation, something based on your equations must be neatly typed. So this check will be done by an assistant. When your paper goes to a journal, there will be an assistant. Normally, she will check. Whether all this initial preliminary checking is done or not. In that case, if there is anything which is not pleasing, again, she may give negative remarks, and there is a chance your paper may be. Avoid cut and copy. And if any photographs are to be used, permission should be obtained from them. Table captions must be specified above the tables, figure captions below. Notations, the variables you are using throughout your paper should be clearly specified. Alpha, beta, gamma, whatever it may be. It should be given in terms of English language also. Give more emphasis on your focal point of the research paper. This is the one which is normally missing in methodology part. Right? Don't repeat again and again and again, which is known to all the people. Now, you have block diagram may have 6 blocks or 7 blocks. Now 7 sections and some 3 to 4 sections. All these should talk about the contribution of your research work. It may be case 1 or it may be case 2. Now, after this, you should come to the experimental results section. That heading should be framed only as experimental results and discussions. Without discussions, never ever write a heading as experimental results. Discussions are the inferences you derive from your experiment is more important than the results you are displaying in the form of table or graph. You have to list your findings in this section. Absolutely fine. Maybe in a tabular form, maybe in a graphical form, maybe in a different representation. You can list your findings. First, specify the software. I think you are from computer science department. Most of you may be from computer science department. You specify the software you are using and the database you used for this work. That's the first line you should have in your result section. Specifications about the processor, right? That is also very, very important. You should tell the background on which you have done your experiment, because the same work, if you apply to some top class journals like Nature or Lancet, they will try to reproduce your work. In that time, if they do not find any background setup, they may not be interested. They will reject directly. Right? So if you are good in your work, give this, let them reproduce. And if there is a close match, then definitely you will get a good chance of your paper getting accepted. The practical values of the various parameters used in the techniques must be specified. If you're using alpha, beta, gamma, what is alpha? What is the value? Not only the equation, but also the values. The implementation parameters should be clearly specified. Illustrate your results for the different stages of your flow diagram. You have given a block diagram, right? In the methodology section, you have given a flow chart. For each block, what do you mean by a block? Some process is going on within a block. That is called as a block. So when you put an arrow mark, I am expecting some output from that. That output should be illustrated in your result section. Different stages. If you have 6 arrow marks, 6 outputs should be there, different stages. Next, it's not only important to show the results, but discussions also must be made on this results. Various analysis findings must be discussed. Why this method is giving a good result, or why this method is not giving a good result. What happens if I change this parameter? Because of this parameter, I'm getting a decreasing trend. The more you write on the results, the chances of your paper getting to a SCIE journal will gradually increase. The better discussion, the better will be the acceptance rate. Proper justification and the reason for the reported results must be carefully given, right? Why and why not? A comparative analysis with other works is mandatory, a tabular column. In the first column, you have all the other person's work, and you can specify your result. Sometimes the background on which they have executed the result may be different. Then you can put a star mark, and below the table in italics, you can specify the database they have used or something like that. That is always acceptable. Because remember, you are not the only person doing the work. Maybe you must have used different images. An image which I have collected from a KG hospital may not be same as the one which a person in US is using. He may not be able to collect that, right? Then it is always okay to put some asterisk and say the real information. And remember, in the comparative analysis, your measures should be superior values than the other. Figures, tables, bar charts may be used to show results, but don't repeat the information which you have given in figure in table. Just to show many results, they will put a tabular column and all the values they will show in the form of a bar. Not at all acceptable. All this shows an inexperienced author, which will directly go to desk rejection. Try to be more informative than giving importance to appearance. I'm not going to look at the beauty of your paper, right? The contents, very, very crucial. Color diagrams can be used, but make sure they are clear if printed in black and white. Otherwise, after acceptance, the publisher will continuously disturb you. The resolution is not good, resolution is not good. And quantitative analysis is much better than qualitative analysis. If I ask you, what is the background color of my screen, PPT? Some of you may say white, some of you may say cream, some of you say milkish cream, creamish white, many answers may be there. But if I ask you a question, what is 3 plus 3? All the answers will be 6. Why? Quantitative has a universal answer. Qualitative is more dependent on the person, right? So try to make sure you give the results in the quantitative way than in a qualitative. Now, the next section is conclusion. The findings in a nutshell is called as conclusion. Since the discussions are done in the previous section, it is sufficient to portray the overall results. Okay, finally, what happens? This much improvement, or this is the 1 or 2 lines you can write. These 2 lines are the one which you would have repeated in the abstract section, last 2 lines, the highlights. That you can give, but maybe you can give in a different way. Instead of saying 90% increase, you can say a speed up of 0.9 is achieved. That is fine. And also you have to justify your hypothesis. That means you have started your title by specifying some key methodology for solving a problem. Whether you have achieved that with your results, with your methodologies, that you need to justify in your conclusion section. Mostly depicted in 1 to 2 paragraphs. The second paragraph may have a future scope section. Maybe someone else who is going to do work on this after you will be, that will be useful for them. So whenever I say paragraphs, 10 to 12 lines, don't have non-uniform paragraphs. One paragraph, 15 lines, another paragraph, 3 lines or 6 lines. Never ever do that. Now, acknowledgement, optional one, not necessary that you should go for. You can acknowledge a funding agency, a source of a database, an external organization, government organization, you can say, but don't thank your institution, right? My institution has supported me in writing a paper, or my principal, my supervisor. If you want, you can go directly to them and thank them, right? And no need to specify that. That is not preferable in a good quality. And references cited inside the text in square brackets must be elaborated here. Each references will have a format, right? That will be given in the publisher template. You need to follow that. Follow ethics and just do not write random volume number. If you write random volume number, again, they will check, they will catch publisher, and then they will ask you, give the, unless otherwise you give all the information, they are not going to publish your paper even after acceptance. Concluding remarks, start each section on a new page, right? Don't have some contents on one and another. That may be okay, but try to make sure that if possible, you can have a complete section on a new page. Adhere to the limits, confine each figure or table to a single page, half in one, half in another. No. Number pages, but again, it is optional. Use paragraphs to separate each important point, right? One paragraph should be homogeneous, as I told you earlier. Indent the first line of each paragraph. Don't start from the first leftmost part of the word film. Just give one indent. That will make the paper look good. So again, I am a human being, right? I don't want you people to write complete essay and show me. If you are presenting in a good way, then that's okay. I will have much more interest on the content. So in another, maybe I have some around 10 to 15 minutes. So this is the way how you have to write the paper, right? Nowadays, people are more confused on what to choose, where I should publish, or what are the process which you should understand in publication. That I will tell you quickly in research forums. If you take a research forum, you will have conferences, you will have journals, you will have books. Nowadays, the books is another upcoming area of accepted researchers' effort, right? So if possible, you can also venture into some book venues. Conferences, you have national conferences, international conferences, journals, you have international journals, national journals. Again, in international conferences, you have indexed. When I say indexing, I am talking only about Scopus indexing. You have many other like EI, engineering village, many things are there. That is not necessary or useful. Or some international conferences are non-indexing. When you come to journals, again, you have a non-indexed journals, and you have regular indexed journals and high-level indexed journals. When I say journals, regular indexing means Scopus. High-level indexing means you can go to the SCI or the impact factor 1. All the information which I have given so far are targeting the SCI or the high impact factor 1. So conferences will not come under the category of Thomson ISI, though few are in Web of Science. But when you take a journal, always make sure that you can go for your impact factor. If it is case 2 research, case 1 may be also acceptable, but most of the time case 1 is a proper fit for Scopus journal only. So I'm not going to talk about national conferences. It has become completely obsolete. Nobody is going to appreciate you for a national conference. International conference, non-indexing, no, don't go. Right? The only advantage what you will get for an international conference is this point, the green color point, higher chances of getting links with other researchers. That's the way how you have to grow. You cannot grow individually, right? Try to get associated with other researchers whom you think will be useful for you. How can you do that? Go to conferences. Maybe the keynote speakers, maybe your fellow researchers, you can have a link with them. I'm not saying you should not enjoy. You can go there. I always go with my family. We enjoy, we eat, everything is there. But when the time is coming for your business, try to make sure that you get associated with some. That is the only benefit. Otherwise, your content will be a complete waste if you go for a non-indexed international conference. Indexed international conference. Suppose if you are a research scholar and if you have started your work, you can go for an indexed international conference. When I say indexed, Scopus indexed. How can we find that? Nowadays, there are many cheatings across the a conference, they say, here it will be there, here it will be there, but it may not be there. One option is you can go to www.scopus.com, and if your conferences is published in a series, right, then that series name will be reflected there. The second option is you need to completely ask the organizer and get a concrete evidence. If it is IEEE, you will have a IEEE book login. And again, even that time, some IEEE conferences are not appearing. Or if they're Springer, they will say some Springer series. Right? So get a concrete evidence. Third one, immediately contact your peer group. That's why the network is very, very important. Just drop them a message. Sir, our friend, this is the one which I'm going to go for. Is it Scopus indexed? They will have good experience and they will tell you whether you should go or not. If you are not having 100% confidence, don't go. International journals, non-indexed. Again, I am not going to talk about this. Non-indexing is completely a waste. Your content will appear in the website, and again, it will be completely irrelevant for you. And when you try to publish your paper sometime later, it will show plagiarism also. So don't go for any non-indexed international journals. Maybe if you want to go detail about them, you can ask me later. Lack of time, I'm just rushing. International journals, regular indexing. Scopus is a good indexing one. You can go, standard review system will be there. Some Scopus journals are not good. Even the Scopus website is updated regularly. So there's a chance that 50% of the journals may be removed tomorrow. There are some Scopus journals where you pay and publish. So maybe it is 50-50, I will give you. But when you go for high-level indexing, this is the venue which you should have attending at least my workshop, right? Just among the research forums. Thomson ISI, Web of Science, or SCI. B is for the previous one, or the case 2 research. A is the best. All right. If you are going for case 2 research, if you're confident, you can definitely give a shot at the SCI journals. No time limit. You have to be patient. You'll have a standard submission system. Publishers will be good quality publishers, but the rate of acceptance is very less. That's why I gave you the information on how to prepare the paper, how to use it. Right? Almost no payment. Most of the time there is no payment, but nowadays the journals are slightly shifting to the open access more because they need some money too. But if you have some collaborators, maybe you can have some arrangement for that. Good publishers, if you want to search IEEE, Elsevier, Springer. These are some top class publishers. Then in the second category, you can have Wiley and Taylor Francis. Then the third category, there are also some publishers like IGI Global, but you have to check whether they are available in the web of your Thomson ISI or SCI journals. Suppose if you say that Scopus is okay for me, go to www.scopus.com and try to find out whether your journal is listed there. Now, books is another one. Book is somewhere in between a conference and a journal, right? So maybe if you want to try with a book, you can go for a book too. And there are also many books which are indexed in Scopus. So when you try to publish some book chapters, you can go to Google, call for book chapters, and you can try to submit some, but make sure from the editor or the person in charge whether this book will appear in Scopus. Conference or book chapter, it should appear in Scopus. Otherwise, your work is waste. Journal, it should come in SCI or at least Scopus. Caution, many journals in their website say that they are SCI journals or Scopus journals, but you need to check. Many journals charge money and publish it along with indexing Scopus, but there is a chance that they will be removed. So go for some journals without fee, or at least get a support from your friend who can support you or you can advise you. So this is the way how you have to check in a Scopus page. On the left-hand side, they will give you the Scopus discontinued list. So you can check that, and if some journal is there, don't go. And otherwise, if you want to check, you can go to the sources icon, which will be in the top. Click that. They will ask you for the title and type the title here. Subject, it is a drop-down menu. Subject area title will be there. Give the title, and if the title is available here, you can easily find out whether it is a Scopus or not. And journals, book series, conference proceeding, different varieties are there. So easily you can categorize that the Scopus entry is a journal or a conference. So how to choose the right journal, right? There is no complete database where you can find all the Scopus journals and the site. Some are listed in Scopus, and there is a JCR list. I have my JCR list. Some people may have your JCR list because it is expensive to have a subscription. If not, you can collect from them and you can make use of them. After noting down the journal name, check the scope of the journal, right? Just by clicking the scope icon in the journal, you can find. One more step, try to go and check the latest issues. And if there are papers published similar to your article, then you can confidently go to the journal. If the scope is broad, the chances of in-depth review is less, right? A journal by name Ophthalmology will have very strong reviewers. So if my work is not good, definite chance of rejection. But if there is a journal called as Medical Image Analysis, that is broad. They will have brain, they will have lung specialist, they will have eye specialist too. So there is a chance that my paper may sneak through. So if you want a side journal, and if you are not confident, maybe a journal with a common name that you can choose. How long you can wait to get your paper published? Some journals will have 12 issues, 24 issues. That information is available in the journal. Some journal will have only 2 issues. If that is a 2 issue, you have to wait for at least 1 year to get your paper published. So do not go for there. If that is the case, then you may face problem in the later stage. If the impact factor is too high, again, the review process will be a bit more tougher. So if you feel that your content is not that good, choose a journal with impact factor 0 to 1. That is also side journal, that is also accepted. Later on, once you get a bit hold on your research work, then you can target the better journals. If case 1 research, I will advise you to go for only Scopus. Journals will expect at least some good differences in the research. Special issues are there, but again, there may be a network within the special issue organizers. Again, your paper may not be accepted. So I will always advise you to go for a regular issue. That deadlines will attract, but again, they will have their own constraints and your paper may be unnecessarily rejected, even though it may be a good one. Ask your peer group. Always have some friends network to get some knowledge or previous experiences. Check the website for article processing charges. Sometimes it will be hidden somewhere. Only after acceptance, they will ask you, pay this amount. You will face problem. If all the parameters are okay, then you can proceed for the submission. Maybe it's time now. Maybe I will skip this part. If you want to have any more information, you can always contact me for offline chat. Now for this 6 minutes, we can have a quick question answer session. These are some contents, maybe 1.5 hours is not sufficient to give the complete information. I will stop with this, and if you have any queries, you can ask me now.
Participants, this is time for you.
Any questions? You can ask me or you can place it in the chat box. The moderator can let me know the questions. Maybe I think the lunch time is disturbing all the people. Suppose if you don't have any queries or if you're not comfortable asking now, you can always let me know, and you can note my email ID, my contact number, and Dr. Karthika is having all those details. And you can somebody is asking. For beginner, survey paper is good, sir. Yeah, a beginner should always submit a survey paper initially. When you have registered for your PhD, take at least around 1 year along with your coursework. You can take 1 year complete literature survey. The introduction section, which I gave you, is actually the survey paper. 8 paragraphs, introduction section. If that is 25 paragraphs or 30 paragraphs, that will become a survey paper. Right? So survey paper, it's always good to start with before going into the. But remember, 150 papers should be there in the.
Participants, you can use your chat box also.
Sir, if I publish a paper in normal journal and I will again publish another Scopus journal, no, you cannot publish the same paper. I understand you are asking for the same paper. You cannot publish the same paper in a normal journal and a Scopus journal. Suppose your normal journal content, if it is not appearing anywhere in the website, then you can go for a Scopus journal. Nobody will find out that you have already published. That may be only in a hard copy. Suppose if the normal journal abstract or title, if it appears somewhere in the website, definitely you will be caught. They will do a plagiarism check and they will find out that you have already published normal. So they will immediately reject, and sometimes it may be a serious issue for your job also. So never ever do that. Same paper. When they release the Scopus journal update every year, sir. Scopus journal is updated almost 3 times in a year, right? Quarterly, they will update. Some journals, they will not maintain the quality expectation of Scopus. Scopus is an indexing agency maintained by LCB, right? So they will screen them continuously. That's why you can see some discontinuous list are discontinued from so and so year, right? So 4 times in a year, they will update. SCI, they will update only once in a year. In the month of June, July, SCI journals will get a revised impact factor. Right? Scopus removal or inclusion, that will be done 3 times. Sorry, 4 times a year. Okay, thank you.
Sir, shall we close this session, sir?
Okay. As I told you, if you need to have an offline chat, you can always contact the organizers. They will have my details and I will try to support as much as I can. Thank you. Thank you for your questions.
Thank you, sir. First and foremost, thank our resource person and our guest, Dr. D. Jude Hemanth, Professor, Department of SCIE, Karunya Institute of Technology and Sciences, Coimbatore, India, who despite in his busy schedule has given an immediate assent. Sir, please accept our sincere appreciation for the outstanding presentation. It was very interesting session. Nuts and bolts of efficient scientific research manuscript. It is excellent, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. It is an interesting session in this FTP. But last but not least, I owe my special gratitude to the participants for their valuable contribution, guidance, and encouragement in all our efforts. The session will now be terminated, sir. Once again, I thank you all. Thank you so much, sir. Participants, kindly fill your feedback form. It is available in your chat box.